Mr. Mayor, we are live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Wednesday, May 8th, 2024 Council meeting. Before I read the land acknowledgement, a couple of house cleaning items I'd like to set in place. Please silence your cell phones for all members that are in chambers. And also, if you do come to the podium to speak during open forum or during any presentations, please take the time to adjust the mic so that you're speaking directly into it, as our meetings are being live streamed for those who are watching from home. The Township of Oro-Medonte acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people, the ancestral territory of the Huron-Wendat. The Anishinaabe include the Odawa, the Ojibwe, the Potawatomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. It continues today as home for diverse indigenous peoples, including the historic Métis community in Penetangwishing. The Anishinaabe people continue to have an enduring relationship with this land, specifically the Chippewas of Rama First Nations, the Chippewa Tri-Council, and the Williams Treaties First Nation. The Huron-Wendat Nation also continues to pay respect and protect their ancestors and heritage on this land. We honor the indigenous history and culture that has thrived for millennia in this territory and the treaties that bind us together as partners in spirit and shared sustainable and prosperous future. We are all treaty people. Our commitment begins with acknowledging the truth so that we can move forward together towards reconciliation. Madam Clerk, may we have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the agenda for the council meeting of Wednesday, May 8, 2024 be received and adopted as amended to withdraw 1904 Old Barry Road East Rugby Decommissioned Fire Hall from closed session agenda item 4C.
Okay. Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. May we have a motion to go past 4 hours if necessary, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that Rule 14.20A, as per the procedural bylaw number 2023-043, be suspended in order to allow the meeting to proceed past the 4-hour adjournment requirement if necessary.
All in favor? That is carried. Is there anyone that has pecuniary interest to disclose at this time? Councillor Shell.
Yes, item 4E for Edward, short-term rentals.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't have my mic on. Item 4E is in Edward, short-term rentals.
Okay.
And the reason? If you can state the reason.
I'm sorry?
If you can please state the reason.
Oh, thanks. I own and operate a short-term rental.
Yeah, no. Thank you, Councillor Shaw. I know it's kind of redundant, but it's for public record. It's just a formality. Okay. Any other pecuniary interest to disclose at this time? Seeing none. Ma'am, may we have a motion to go into closed session, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Young, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that we do now go into closed session at 2:36 p.m. to discuss proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, decommissioned fire hall, 375 Line 11 South, Hawkstone. Position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction be applied to any negotiations related to the municipality Barrie boundary. Litigation affecting the municipality, official plan, appeal, UC lands, short-term rentals, cannabis. Labor relations, employee negotiations, staffing, organizational update.
Thank you very much. We have all in favor of going into closed? Opposed? That is carried. We'll see everyone in closed. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, we're live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. May we have a motion to rise from closed session, please?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that we do now, that we rise at 4:11 p.m. and recess until 4:25 to report on closed session matters, items 4C, D, E, and F.
Thank you very much. May we have a motion for item 4C, please?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that the confidential verbal information presented by Yvonne Aubuchon, clerk, proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board, decommissioned fire hall, 375 Line 11 South, Hawkstone, be received.
Yeah. Thank you very much. All in favor? That is carried. May we have a motion for item 4C? Was that, we just did that, sorry. D, please.
Was the vote called? Okay.
Yes,
Yep,
is
thank you.
carried.
Moved by Young, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the confidential correspondence dated May 8, 2024, and presented by Robin Dunn, CAO, and George Vaudebancourt, Manager, Planning Special Projects, a position, plan, procedure, criteria or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried out or be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, Barrie Boundary, be received and adopted. That council directs its representatives to work toward a partnership with the City of Barrie, and that council representatives and staff proceed as directed.
Thank you. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And may we have two separate motions for item 4E, Madam Clerk? The first motion will be for the official plan appeal in cannabis, and the second one for STRs, please.
Thank you. Moved by Clark, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the confidential verbal information presented by Robin Dunn, CAO, and Brent Spagnell, Director of Development Services, litigation affecting the municipality, official plan appeal, UC Lands, be received. That staff proceed as directed by council.
Thank you very much. Everyone's heard the motion. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And may I have the second motion for item E, please?
Moved by Young, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that the confidential correspondence dated May 7, 2024, from David Chung, Airden Beerless LLP, and presented by Robin Dunn, CAO, and Brent Spagnell, Director of Development Services, litigation affecting the municipality, official plan appeal, short-term rentals, STRs, be received. That staff proceed as directed by council.
Thank you. You heard the vote. I'll call the, sorry, you heard the motion. I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Was cannabis not read with the official plan?
No, it's next.
It's next, okay. Can we have the third motion then, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the confidential verbal information presented by Robin Dunn, CAO, and Brent Spagnell, Director, Development Services, litigation affecting the municipality, cannabis, be received. That staff proceed as directed by council.
Okay. All in favor? That is carried. And may we have a motion for item 4F, please, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Shell, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that the confidential verbal information presented by Robin Dunn, CAO, Labor Relations, Employee Negotiations, Staffing Organizational Update, be received.
All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. And may we have a motion for the 3 sets of draft minutes, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that the draft minutes of the special council meeting held on Wednesday, April 17th, 2024, minutes of the council meeting held on Wednesday, April 24th, 2024, be received and adopted as printed and circulated, and that the draft minutes of the Traffic Safety Advisory Committee held on Thursday, April 18th, 2024, be received, and that the recommendation therein per motion number TSAC 240418-4 be adopted.
Are there any amendments to any of the draft minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah,
we
they-
do have the
yeah.
motion for, okay.
As noted, there is a recommendation by the Traffic Safety Committee, Advisory Committee, of draft minutes to adopt motion number 4 regarding the Slow Down for Us campaign. Are there any questions in regards to that? Seeing, Madam Clerk, we have the motion, please.
Moved by Young, second by Hutchison, be it resolved that per motion number TSAC 2404-18-4 of the April 18th, 2024 Traffic Safety Advisory Committee meeting, the recommendation to council reduce neighborhood speeding, slow down for us campaign ideas be approved.
Okay, so all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. We have no recognitions of achievements on the agenda this week or public meetings. So we're now item 8, deputation presentations. Chris Pouvel of Aurelia Lake Country and Tourism. Welcome, Mr. Pouvel. If you'd like to come to the mic, adjust the mic so you're speaking directly in it, just so people at home and on our stream can hear you clearly. And please proceed when ready.
Okay. Good afternoon. On behalf of the Board of Directors and staff of Aurelia Lake Country Tourism, I would like to thank you for the support that you have provided to OLC over the past year. Financial support from our municipalities is the bedrock that allows us to carry out our objectives. Over the next few minutes, I will be providing an overview of how our organization supported our tourism sector in 2023, with an emphasis on initiatives that were focused on Oro-Medonte specifically. Next slide, please. I think all of you are familiar with our organization, but it's always nice to reiterate our mission and our objectives. And over the next few minutes, I'll be showing you examples of how some of the actions we take meet our core objectives, which are strengthening partnerships, delivering and promoting marketing campaigns, creating and supporting existing visitor experiences, and as always, trying to leverage and find new funding, which keeps us going as an organization. Next page, please. So I wanted to provide a summary of our audited financial position at the end of 22, and right now our 22 financials are just heading to a hen tricky for the audit process. This will be happening over the next few weeks and will be approved by the board in late June. At that point, I will be happy to pass them along. In the meantime, here are what was audited in 2022. I also have the complete audited report with me, and I'm happy to leave this here if anybody wants to, dive in further to some of our numbers. And of course, I'm happy to answer either now or later any questions you might have on our financial statements as outlined on the document above. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, we are a marketing organization, and one of the bedrocks of our or platforms that we really use is our website. Our website is basically that sort of central warehouse for tourism information in Aurelia Lake Country, and specifically Oro-Medonte. I'll be talking about the Oro-Medonte page that we have. We have we'll call it the official tourism page for Oro-Medonte. And but before I get there, I just wanted to provide some stats as far as how we did in 2023 over 2022. We had an increase of 14%, page views of close to 650,000, and with users just over 300,000. The geographical breakdown of that would be Toronto being our primary market of visitors or audience to our website, followed by Aurelia and Barrie, and then some other municipalities kind of in southwestern Ontario surrounding Toronto. Again, the bulk of our visitors, I would say, come from the Toronto GTA, Hamilton area, and then moving down the line, we also get visitors from Waterloo, Kitchener, London. But also it's important to note that we are a resource, our website is a resource for our local residents, being in Barrie or Orillia. A lot of Oro-Medonte residents are probably included either in that Barrie or Orillia number location. So it's not only a resource that's used by visitors, but also by our local residents who then hopefully go and visit some of our operators. We have a total of 131 Oro-Medonte businesses listed on our website. Anything related to tourism, we'll call it food and hospitality, attractions, events. One of the things that we've been really busy focused on over the past few years is content creation, and this really is in the form of blogs. So weekly we put out new blogs. Sometimes in the winter it might not be weekly, and sometimes in the busy season it might be twice a week. But I just wanted to provide some examples, as you can see, of these blogs. And a lot of these blogs are, meant to drive traffic out, visitors out to events that are coming up, whether it's that weekend or the week after. So this is how people are often, determining their plans, and it's important to get that out there. And as with often we are, boosting these through social media, so the word gets out on what's going on. And these are all Oro-Medonte specific blogs. In total, we had 50 blogs last year, and 29 of them were either entirely about Oro-Medonte or had parts of them about Oro-Medonte. So it just goes to show you how much is going on here and how much of a focus to getting that word out is for our organization about what's happening in Oro-Medonte. Next, please. So as I mentioned before, there's two ways of finding that tourism page. You can go to orillialakecountry.ca/tourism Oro-Medonte, or the easy way would just be put in exploreoromedonte.ca, and you'll see there's sort of the home page for the Oro-Medonte page. And then I just wanted to provide some stats as well, some metrics on how some of the Oro-Medonte blogs do. And this is basically pulling some keywords that had the word Oro-Medonte in it. And you'll see the page views of the top Oro-Medonte pages went up 50% in the past year. So again, it's trying to get that brand out about Oro-Medonte. We are a regional tourism organization, but it's important for us that all of our municipalities are featured and also are represented, through our various platforms. Next, please. Social media, again, as any marketing organization, we're active on social media. I provided some stats up here over the past year. Our Facebook following grew modest 5%. Instagram, there was a lot more growth on Instagram. We post regularly on social media. We're always sort of following the latest trends and making sure that we have, reels and stories and the things that the audience is looking for. So we stay on top of that. And then, here's just a variety of examples of very Oro-Medonte specific campaigns that we have run or posts. Next slide, please. Print. Many marketing organizations have sort of shied away from print. We believe there's still room for print. I think it's something that people would like to have in their hands, not only when they arrive somewhere, but also when they're planning a trip. So we put out a visitor guide. In my hands here, I have the 2024 visitor guide. We print 25,000 copies of these, and these are dispersed, distributed throughout the province, all the way down to Windsor, and then at sort of vital border crossing areas as well. So we get these out, they're printed in January, we get them out the door, we go to boat shows, we go to cottage life shows, boat shows, other trade shows, and make sure that visitors have one of these as they walk by. Again, I just brought up a couple of examples, pages that features Oro-Medonte content. I'll be leaving each one of you one of our visitor guides. Next slide, please. So Tap into Maple, this is one of our premier programs. This happens every year in March and April. This year's timing was a little bit tricky because the season actually started in February, but this is a program which really supports the operator We had 8 Oro-Medonte businesses participating. We don't charge anything. This is, comes out of our core funding, our marketing dollars to run this program, to bring prominence to our maple syrup producers, and really just to drive traffic in a time of year which is generally, we'll call it a shoulder season, March, early April. So get people up here, and a lot of the people who do come visit are from the GTA. That's a lot, our marketing campaign is often centered around the GTA to come up here and experience all things maple. We also did a partnership with Destination Ontario that featured a number of Oro-Medonte businesses during last year's 2023 maple syrup season. So next slide, please. So media and influencers, we facilitate, we support media visits and influencer visits. Over the past couple of years, we've struck up this really great partnership with Destination Ontario, which is Tourism Ontario, where they, seek out the media, and then we buy into it as a partner. There is a financial cost, but in return, the outcomes, the marketing reach of these campaigns is very vast. So for a little, you get a lot. This last year in 2023, we had CH Morning Live had this glamping. They featured 5 glamping operators in southwestern Ontario, and they decided they want to do Glen Oro, so we brought them up here. When they were at Glen Oro, we sent them over to Quails as well. So this was live TV in the Hamilton area, and then I know these numbers are really small to see here, but so basically the ad value of this campaign was $128,000. Obviously the Destination Ontario kicked in most of it, but we did our part. We helped organize it. We helped work with the operators. So something we've been doing more and more of is just working with the media and establishing this relationship with Destination Ontario to get this great exposure. Next slide, please. As far as influencers go, we also work with influencers. This influencer marketing is something that is part of our marketing strategy. We vet, we make sure we're bringing up the right people up here. And in September of 2023, we brought up 3 influencers, 3 females from Toronto, kind of to do almost like a girls' getaway type of thing. And we had their first stop was at treetop trekking, and then they went over to Quails, and then they moved on and did some other stops in our region. But again, great exposure. They provide us, social media coverage. Some write articles in their respective, magazines, online magazines, etc. So something that we're always keeping our eye on the ball as far as who are the right people to bring here and showcase what we want them to showcase. Keeping in mind we are a rural destination and one that really embraces the outdoors and agritourism. Next slide, please. Some additional support. We supported the Crankworks event. This was the first of its kind here in Ontario at Horseshoe Resort last July, so we provided some funding for that. In return, we got some advertising opportunities. Again, building that relationship with Horseshoe Resort, but also supporting some of these signature events that do bring people to the region and provide the region great exposure. We have so many wonderful assets. And also wayfinding signage along the rail trail. So we provided financial support for the signs themselves, but also some of the small archery signs that now are found along the rail trail. Next slide. Some additional initiatives, and these are more like broader initiatives that Orillia Lake Country has embarked on. Not so much specific to Oro-Medonte, more of a regional approach, and this includes articles in magazines, consumer magazines such as Canada Travel. We have digital trucks sometimes in front of Rogers Centers. We buy into these campaigns in the GTA. We have digital billboards on the side of the Gardner Expressway or some of the other 401 highways, and even some taxi tops. So I think if you look at most of those images, they're all Oro-Medonte images. So again, this is a way of marketing ourselves to the GTA audience and getting a lot of impressions, of course, as people drive by or walk by or go to these events and see these quite striking visuals. Next slide, please. And I just wanted to finally just share a few words from our industry partners. Building strong relationships with our stakeholders has always been a top priority for us. I won't read them, they're in the agenda package, but we're happy to know, as reflected through these comments, that our work is having a real and positive impact. So we have Horseshoe Resort, we have an industry partner from Tourism Ontario. Next slide, please. And a testimonial there from Catherine at Quail's Brewery. So we really relish these relationships, partnerships, we'll call them, that we built over the years, and look forward on building on them and establishing new ones, because it seems like some great things are coming to Oro-Medonte. And as I close here, I've probably gone over 10 minutes, but I would like to acknowledge my fellow members on Team Oro-Medonte, Sylvia Stark with the Oro-Medonte Chamber of Commerce and Tourism, and Jen Whitley from the Township of Oro-Medonte. We are part of Team Oro-Medonte. We meet regularly to share our respective activities and determine opportunities to collaborate. This ensures that we make the best use of our resources and avoid duplication. We operate in a spirit of collaboration, collectively working to support our valuable tourism sector. On that note, I would be happy to answer any questions. And next slide, please.
Thank you very much, Chris, for the presentation. And do any member of council have any questions at this time for Chris? You're allowed to comment.
Thank you very much, Chris. That was very, very good, and I'm glad to see the reach that you're able to achieve. That's excellent. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure. Yeah.
Any other questions? Councillor Hutchison.
Hi, excuse me, Mayor Greenlaw, through you, not a question, but just a few comments I was writing down through your presentation. So thank you very much. I really enjoyed the fact that you quantified your results, both in follower usage and in dollars, dollar results as well. I like the creativity in the use of influencers. That's a really neat strategy. And the fact that you're supportive of Oro-Medonte in your wayfinding sign strategy, and hearing about your strong partnerships. But I really also appreciate the fact that you're clarifying that there's checks and balances in place to avoid duplication between your other partner, our other partner, which is the Chamber of Commerce, and that you've got a strong working relationship with the township. So that's a win-win for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hutchison. Well, I have a couple questions. So one is, and I'm just looking at, there's 131 business listings.
Yeah.
So, how many businesses actually are there in Oro-Medonte? Do we have a number on that? Do we have a quantitative number?
I think, well, Jen or Sylvia probably has the best answer to that, but, or Donna, yeah.
Through you, Mayor Greenlaw, I don't have the exact total number of businesses within the township. Specifically, Chris, on their website would be looking at tourism-only businesses, and within the Lake Country membership, which there isn't actually a membership anymore, any tourism business that's within the township gets a free listing on their website. But at this time I can't speak to the total number of businesses.
No, it was just a curiosity question. And just I like as the world evolves to electronic versus paper, the 25,000 units that you put out in the brochure, brochure, is that the right terminology for it? Is it, it's a brochure kind of component? Yeah. So like what sort of analysis, at what point do you think, if you deviated from that, or what is the advantages of printing something like that? Because I know there are, especially as you get my age and beyond, we're used to that versus the younger generations may not gravitate to that as much. So is there any kind of statistical data that would kind of allow you when to deviate from that more to social media, or do you think that's always a key principle to have?
Every year we analyze how many we move. So a few years ago it was 35,000. So then we had some left over, right? So then we made that decision to scale back. Last year we found that 25,000 was the right amount. We moved them. And then at the end of the year, we didn't have any inventory left. So as far as, judging the value, we have some, we have coupons in here. And so there's a metric we can judge that people are actually using that coupon, going to that store and using it. So always keeping an eye sort of on what the trends are, seeing what the interests are. Many of our hoteliers, Veta Spa, they can't keep them on the shelves. Yeah. But also we just want to make sure that we're not spending too much on something then at the end of the year we're left with. And I think for the foreseeable future, there still is a demand for this. And until that demand stops being there, we'll continue to do it. But, I would say 80% of our sort of focus is on digital platforms. Yeah. Yeah.
No, perfect. No, that's the only questions I had. Councillor Young.
Yeah, just a comment, Chris. It's another, as usual, impressive presentation on your part, and just how much you use the media to further the mandate of the OLC, in particular in Oro-Medonte. So, good job.
Thank you.
I also want to comment too that looking at the pictures here, you're very photogenic.
It's not always that easy to find models, so
yeah,
I guess I'm the go-to person at the end of the day. Yeah.
and Chris, how many municipalities would you encompass?
We have 4 at the moment.
4?
Yeah, so we have Oro-Medonte, Severn Township, Rama First Nation, and Aurelia.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any further questions from members of council? Seeing none, Chris, thank you very much for the information. We find it very informative, and I'm happy to see that the partnership and the synergies that both you and the Chamber of Commerce working together bring to the township.
My pleasure. Thank you. I'll just.
Okay, so Madam Clerk, do you want to do the motions to receive that individually, or do you want to do them all at the end? What would you prefer? Individually? Okay, so could we have a motion to receive Chris's presentation, please?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that the presentation by Chris Preval, Executive Director, Aurelia and Lake Country Tourism RE 2024 budget presentation be received. And I believe there's a correction, that was 2022 budget.
And then he was going to forward the 2023s when they're completed. And so I think kind of, I'm just going to say maybe what we would do is, because I know the Chamber's budget hasn't come to their AGM yet, so what we will do is maybe when we have both parties' 2023 budgets, we would add them to the consent agenda as the information so that it's there. But I think that would be appropriate. Wait until they're both done, and plus I appreciate the Chamber bringing what they have, and it's kept enclosed because their AGM isn't at that time, just so the public knows why the budgets are not being presented in that form today. So this takes us to item
Mr. Mayor, you
Yeah,
need
you
to
want
call
call
for
the
the
vote?
vote on the motion.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing that. We weren't sure yet, but I'll call the vote now. All in favor? Opposed? And that is received. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We now move to presentation 8B. Ms. Sylvia Stark of the Oro Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. Welcome, Sylvia, and please proceed when ready. You may want to adjust the mic just so that people at home can hear you.
Good afternoon, Mayor Greenlaw and Council. As you are aware, I'm Sylvia Stark. I'm the Executive Director of the Oro-Medonte Chamber of Commerce and Tourism. I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak to you on behalf of the Oro-Medonte Chamber of Commerce and Tourism directors and members. Next slide, please. The Oro-Medonte Chamber of Commerce and Tourism is a not-for-profit, member-driven association where our membership is an investment in you, your business, and your community. We represent a diverse business community from agriculture, manufacturing, industrial, service and trades, eco and agritourism, retail, accommodations, restaurants, boutique shopping, and sports and recreation. Next slide, please. We advocate, promote, and bring awareness to our business community and Oro-Medonte as a whole. We host signature events for the community and our visitors. The Chamber is the voice of businesses in Oro-Medonte. Around the world, tourism is a lifeline for rural communities, providing jobs, supporting rural businesses, while protecting our nature and our culture and heritage. Next slide, please. Our growth in less than 3 years has grown tremendously in the Chamber. Our membership has grown from 56 members to close to 340 members in Oro-Medonte area. 75% of those members are local businesses right here in Oro-Medonte. Our social media channels have had a growth of 40 times the followers. We are now having businesses from Barrie and Orillia join our Oro-Medonte Chamber of Commerce as well. Next slide, please. The executive director's role, I just fill a little history in here. I was born and raised in Oro-Medonte. My career took off throughout the world running my own PR and marketing company, working with corporate clients, charities, organizations, returning to Oro-Medonte a few years ago to take care of my mom. I never thought I would be running the local Oro-Medonte Chamber, but it's something that I have become very proud of. As ED, I lead the strategic execution and operational advancement of the organization. My role is in steering the organization towards achieving its mandate. I engage with members and key stakeholders, including developing revenue streams and innovating programs and services for our businesses and community. I am the spokesperson for the organization. I sit on the Economic Roundtable Committee for the township, the Tourism Action Plan Committee, the Agritourism Roundtable for Simcoe County, and the Tourism Oro-Medonte team with Economic Development Officer Jen Whitley and Orillia Lake Country ED Chris Purvell. I represent the Chamber at various activities to enhance the organization's community profile, including ribbon cuttings, new business groundbreakings, ceremonies such as the Remembrance Day. Next slide, please. In the past 36 months, we have received $165,800 in grants to include a marketing campaign to showcase the Oro-Medonte brand from Shopping Local, Support Local, and the Oro-Medonte Farmers Market and Mystical Lights. All brings locals and visitors alike to support our businesses. We feel it's important to bring recognition to the Oro-Medonte brand. Next slide, please. We all recognize this guy. In 2022, we created a mascot for Oro-Medonte, Monty, Oro-Medonte's alpaca. We had no idea how popular this guy would become. As you can see, Monty became the star of our media campaign, including TV commercials, radio ads, billboards on Highway 11 and 12, welcoming people to Oro-Medonte. He's also appeared at local businesses and local schools, and even our surrounding cities of Barrie and Orillia have had him make appearances representing Oro-Medonte. He continues to make appearances today. Our hashtag Shop with Monty in Oro-Medonte. Next slide, please. We have partnerships with many of our businesses in Oro-Medonte. We advocate and create partnerships. Our monthly Business After 6 events are hosted by one of our members, giving a networking opportunity to showcase your business and to encourage mentoring and working together to build a stronger Oro-Medonte. We advocate and enhance promotion awareness for our business community, including producing events to bring the community together. We are also out there promoting community events that the Chamber does not produce. Next slide, please. Our Business of Excellence Awards, we produce recognizing our local businesses who have an impact for the economy in Oro-Medonte, including Business of the Year, Employer of the Year. We ask the community to nominate and tell us why they feel a business should be recognized. On May the 23rd at Glen Oro Farms, we'll be holding our Business of Excellence Awards for Oro-Medonte, the first time because we've had a 4-year absence with the pandemic. And we have some great hosts for that event, which is Colin and Justin from HGTV. So the tickets are on sale now for our Business Awards at Glen Oro on May 23rd. Next slide, please. In 2021, we introduced the Oro-Medonte Farmers Market, something our residents wanted. With all the pandemic protocols, we opened our very first market. We're very proud to say we have many producers from Oro-Medonte Farms as our vendors. We pride ourselves in having 80% of our vendors from Oro-Medonte. Now going into our 4th year, we welcome people on Canada Day, is the day we open each season. Usually around 2,000 visitors, and we continue each Thursday so people can come and support and shop local from over 35 to 40 vendors, from bakers, lavender, honey, maple syrup, and flowers, to name a few. There's entertainment. Our weekly market brings about 300 to 500 people, and we've now been known as the friendly market out there. Next slide, please. One of our signature events have become Mystical Lights. Throughout my career travels, I came across a light show in Saskatchewan. When I returned home to Oro-Medonte, I just had to have it here. After becoming the ED and after much convincing, the board of directors started our Mystical Lights drive-through in 2021. Our first location at the fairgrounds for the month of December, in the middle of a COVID lockdown with many health unit restrictions, we welcomed over 10,000 visitors through the gates of the fairgrounds. In 2022, we were able to place over 50,000 lights through the fairgrounds with an assistance of a tourism grant. Again, another successful year brought people from far away as Pefferlaw, Parry Sound, the GTA, Orangeville, St. Catharines, and more. Next slide, please. In 2023, we moved to a more visible location of Heidi's Campground with more lights, accessible electricity, and excitement. We welcomed even more visitors. The media campaign includes billboards, TV commercials, mobile campaigns, and print ads. There were news articles about Oro-Medonte Mystical Lights across Ontario. Community spirit is strong with Mystical Lights, bringing together businesses and organizations to create their own displays, wishing people happy holidays. It has become an event for family generations to enjoy, and this year we will grow again with even more lights and new additions. Next slide, please. In 2024, we are proud to be taking over the Image Studio Tour in its 41st year, an event that showcases artists and guest artists through Oro-Medonte and area. The volunteers of the Image Tour came to us and asked us if the Chamber would take it over, and so this will be the first year that we do that. Next slide, please. The Chamber has recognized a voice of businesses and residents in our community. Our volunteers for our Farmers Market and Mystical Lights are made up of community members and local students. all working together for a stronger community. Next slide, please. In 2024, we created a Welcome to Oro-Medonte brochure and business directory. They have had a business directory in the past, but we decided to create Oro-Medonte's little phone book for residents and visitors, which I have a copy for all of you today. It also lists all of our chamber members and community info, and we are very excited. People are already wanting to advertise in the 2025 brochure. Next slide, please. In 2022, we brought back the Oro-Medonte map, highlighting all the great places to visit in Oro-Medonte with ads for our local businesses. In the future, we would like to have a Welcome to Oro-Medonte board with the map throughout the township, like Bayview Park, the ski hills, to invite people to stop and stay a while, supporting and shopping local. We had 30,000 maps, and they were gone within the first 8 months. So we will be bringing the map back in 2024. Next slide, please. In 2023, we held our first Career and Business Expo at Mount St. Louis Moonstone to help our local employers obtain qualified employees, as well as showcase all that we have here in Oro-Medonte. We are hoping to have another one in spring 2025. Next slide, please. Agritourism is a large part of our township, from locally grown lavender, honey, maple syrup, flower farm, cheese to equestrian farms, and even a micro dairy goat farm. Other farms include dairy, chicken, beef, and cash crops, and Oro-Medonte is the home to even Santa's reindeer in the winter when they are on vacation. Next slide, please. We have a diverse membership, including manufacturing. The Chamber is proud to support our manufacturer and industrial partners to promote Made in Oro-Medonte. Manufacturing is one of our important sectors in our membership and our township. People have no idea what's made here in Oro-Medonte. It's important to showcase the Oro-Medonte brand with our hashtag Made in Oro-Medonte. Next slide, please. Since becoming the ED, it is very important that I have learned from the businesses here that they want to be Oro-Medonte proud. Many of them have addresses that are not Oro-Medonte, but they're very proud to be Oro-Medonte businesses, and they want to promote that. 50% of our businesses in Oro-Medonte are industrial, manufacturing, and services. The other 50% are in the tourism sector. Whether searching for sports and recreation, a unique shopping experience, a foodie's delight, or taking a casual hike on one of our many trails, or relaxing in our Nordic spa. Next slide, please. Oro-Medonte is the largest township in Simcoe County with the longest shoreline of Lake Simcoe. We are a four-season destination where people want to live, work, and play in our sandbox. Next slide, please. Visitors and new residents are amazed what we offer here in Oro-Medonte. We have 7 golf courses, 2 alpine ski resorts, a winery, a brewery, a cidery opening shortly, Nordic skiing and biking, a Nordic spa, along with unique boutique shopping experiences, restaurants, and unique accommodations. And apparently burgers that are much better than way up the highway, right here in Oro-Medonte. Next slide, please. Oro-Medonte is rich in heritage, with, of course, our African church as our national historic site, and the Shanty Bay St. Thomas Church, to the Sir Samuel Steele Monument, to plaques throughout our township telling the story of our heritage. The Chamber would like to create that heritage trail, including the barn quilts. There are many right here, and they have a story to tell of our heritage, of our farming community, run by family for generations. Next slide, please. New in 2024, we are bringing the Chamber Perks app. You can see it on chamberperksapp.com. It was created by an executive director in Sudbury Chamber. It's a mobile app designed especially for the Chambers of Commerce across Canada, giving our members Canada-wide visibility, extensive marketing exposure as an app, can effortlessly find companies through the mobile directory, enhancing user engagement, and streamline interaction with companies. Next slide, please. The Chamber's vision for the future is to have a welcome center on Highway 11 to welcome and invite all visitors to stop and take a break. A pop-up market where we can show products made right here in Oro-Medonte. To learn about our township, whether it be our heritage, places to dine or shop, or in one of our boutique shopping experiences, to visit Monty and his friends at our alpaca farm. We are a four-season destination, and we want people to see why we are Oro-Medonte proud and to come, stay, and play and live here. Next slide, please. I'm hoping my presentation has shown you how important the Chamber of Commerce is to our community and our businesses here in Oro-Medonte. I want to thank the Township of Oro for supporting the Chamber the past few years, and I hope you continue to support us. We all work together, the Township, Aurelia Lake Country, and the Chamber, to form a team that all is Oro-Medonte proud. Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw and Council, for your time today. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them at this time.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Sylvia. It was great. Appreciate all the work you've done and all the creative new things you've brought to the Chamber since you came on board last term. So I think you've done a lot of amazing work, and I look forward to see how the both parties work collaboratively together to synergize and promote this great township that we live in. So Council, I'll open up if there's anyone else who has comments or questions. Councillor Hutchison.
Through you, Mayor Greenlaw, thank you for such a great presentation, Sylvia. I really enjoyed it. I'm really pleased to see you taking on the Fall Images Tour. It's a significant event in the township, and I know that there was some concern that it might not be able to continue, so that's amazing. And the numbers that you shared on your growth of membership, that's pretty outstanding. What do you contribute to the success of that membership growth over the year?
This is going to be a funny answer, but I think it's, I'm a people person, and I just drop into businesses. There was a lot of businesses that left our chamber, and when I returned, I take things on as a challenge, and I wanted them all back and more. So I dropped in, and I just, you know, whether they're a chamber member or not, I have that personal conversation with them, see how it's going, how we can help them. And that's why a lot of them have come back. When I came on, they said, you know what? Yearly we get an invoice from the chamber and you don't do anything for us. I really do work with my chamber members, and I have to tell you that is my favorite part of my job is my members. And I actually wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the members, because they're just wonderful businesses, and I think we work great as a team promoting all what Oro-Medonte has to offer. So it's that personal touch. People still love the personal touch.
Any Deputy Mayor Lavoie?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like to add to what Mayor Greenlaw and Councillor Hutchison have said. This is an excellent presentation. And again, thank you for picking up the Images Tour, and congratulations on 50 years. That's amazing.
Thank you. Any other comments? No. But thank you very much, Sylvia, for your presentation. You know, the Chamber is an important piece to this township. We're a rural community. We have our challenges because we're so spread out, right? And we're a collection of a number of small communities. So it makes it that much more challenging to get and network yourself out throughout the township and be effective. But you've done a great job, and I know you'll continue. I look forward to seeing how this mobile app. So, you know, I'm not the most tech savvy individual, but you know what, I have to learn. You know, my kids don't want me to learn anything electronic because they say us old people don't quite get it like they do. I'm including myself, not you, Madam Clerk. Just so you know, I'm just talking about me. I say, as soon as I say something that is, anyways. But thank you very much for everything, and we look forward to continuing the relationship we have with the Chamber moving forward.
Thank you, and I have a copy of the brochure if you can pass it.
Wow. the clerk just kind of gives me the evil eye every time I say a word that maybe I'm not supposed to say. I'm going, well, I'll be down to a three-word dictionary by the end of the term. So, Madam Clerk, may we have a motion to receive Ms. Stark's presentation, please?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Young. Be it resolved that the presentation by Sylvia Stark, Executive Director, Oro-Medonte Chamber of Commerce and Tourism, RE 2024 budget presentation be received.
All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So we'll now move to item 9. Is there anything on the agenda from members in the chamber that we would like to have move forward because they are on a time schedule that have to be somewhere else? Seeing none. We now move to open forum. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone registered for open forum?
No, Mr. Mayor, we do not.
Okay. Is there anyone in chamber that wants to speak to any of the items that are on the agenda today in open forum? Oh, we have one. Gentlemen, please come to the mic. Just announce your name and adjust the mic so you're speaking into it.
Sure.
Everyone's not the same height in this
No worries.
township, I see.
No, we're taller than you. I can't say that either, I guess. My name is Eric Harkin. I'm the president and founder of Vet Nordic Spa, and Chris had asked me to do a testimonial, but I said, no, you know what, I'm going to come here in person. But the personal test that Sylvia said, I just want to mention that we've been in business for 2 years and we've seen some incredible growth in 2 years, which is great. But it's been with working with people like Chris and Associate Shannon, it's been really good to work with. That's what's amazing. There's so many DMOs out there. It's very difficult to find out where you want to spend your time and energy. And that's one thing I find with Chris and the rural Lake Country. And Sylvia Stark, what more can we say? Just go to a business after 6 and you'll see what's going on. That's a great way for us to connect. She's our glue. She glues us together so we can allow us to work together as businesses and other fellow people in Oro-Medonte. So I just want to give my thumbs up to both organizations.
Okay. Thank you very much, Eric. That was much appreciated. And like I said, it's great to hear, and I appreciate you taking time to come to the chamber yourself and express the gratification and the advantages to both parties. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? Miss Whitley, you don't want to come up and just, no? Okay, well. Councillor Young, is that you? Okay. We're now on item 11, reports of municipal officers. 11A, may we have a motion for item 11A, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Bard, seconded by Hutchison. Be it resolved that OCS 2024-16, Mark Pruchek, Technologist Supervisor, Operations, re-award of tender OCS RFT 24009, pavement markings 3 years be received and adopted. That tender OCS RFT 24009, pavement markings 3 years be awarded to provincial road markings in the amount of $254,240.42 plus HST. That council approved the provisional items in OCS RFT 24009 3 years to be completed in the amount of $5,153.76 plus HST. That the Director of Operations and Community Services be authorized to execute the appropriate agreement on behalf of the township. That delegated authority be given to the Director of Operations and Community Services, if appropriate, to execute the two one-year extensions in 2027 and 2028, and that the bidders be thanked and notified under the Director of Operations and Community Services signature.
Thank you, Council. If there's any questions or comments or concerns, I know Carla Musso Garcia is making herself available to answer any questions anyone would have. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried, Madam Clerk. May we have a motion for item 11B, please?
Moved by Lavoie, seconded by Shell. Be it resolved that OCS 2024-10, Donna Hewitt, Director of Corporate Services, re-remuneration and expenses bylaw update. Kuchiching OPP Detachment Board be received and adopted, that staff bring forward the appropriate bylaw for council's consideration.
Any questions, comments regarding this matter? No, just thank you. And I want to thank Councillor Young for sitting on that board for us. I know you're excited about it, so you're very well skilled for it. So I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried, Madam Clerk. So we're on now to item 11C.
Moved by Bard, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that DS 2024-64 George Badabancourt, Manager, Planning Special Projects, Bill 185, proposed changes to Municipal Act, Planning Act and Development Charges Act, and new provincial planning statement 2024 be received and approved as presented. That a letter be sent under the mayor's signature to the Provincial Standing Committee, Finance and Economic Affairs, outlining the township's comments on the proposed legislation.
Okay. We'll open the floor for comments, questions at this time. Any members of council? Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Mr. Valdemoncourt. I just wanted to thank you for providing a summation of staff's comments on this. I think it's probably the most significant piece of planning legislation in our term so far. I'd say it's bigger than Bill 23, but having this background provided in such a timely manner, I think is really, really impressive and important. So thank you so much for providing this.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bard.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to George, and I, excuse me, I echo Councillor Clark's sentiments there. Just, excuse me. Sorry. Yes, there's been significant change, obviously, for your planning staff, and I do want to recognize that the work that everybody must be doing behind the scenes to prepare for all of this change, and something like 10 pieces of changes to legislation in the last 4 years or so. I'm just wondering if there is a way that we could communicate to the province that there should be some training or some kind of conference or workshop that we could bring people together, staffs across the municipality. Is there something that we could do in that regard?
Thank you for your comments. Through you, Your Worship. Yes, I think that's something that we can put in the letter back to the province with respect to that, in addition to the comments on the legislation.
Thank you. Supplemental.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. And through you, Mr. Mayor, to George or somebody else on the staff, it's my understanding that we're in pretty good shape for our 2051 growth targets contained within the settlement areas as they currently exist. Is it your understanding that we may be pressured to expand the settlement area boundaries or create new settlement areas, even though we don't really need to? Does that kind of get opened up through Bill 185? Because these rural settlements are really challenging for the preservation of farmland, and it would be good that we limit this. And I'm concerned that maybe our letter needs to include more stronger language that we want to protect those settlement boundary expansions to preserve our farmland. Can you comment a bit, please?
Thank you. Yeah, through you, Your Worship. So there were two pieces of legislation and policy introduced. One was Bill 185, and the other piece was the provincial planning policy. So those two documents work hand in hand. And Councillor, what you're referring to is some of the provisions of the provincial planning statement, and we haven't, as staff, really delved into it to the planning statement because it is quite a document to any great detail. But suffice to say that any proposed expansion would have to go through a planning process, review, there'd have to be justification. And in the proposed provincial planning statement, there are criteria that are applied to any expansion. of a settlement area. So to sum up then, it would be a process that staff would apply criteria to. Not to say that anyone could come in and make a request to expand a settlement area. There is that opportunity. It will now be at any time that they can do that. Prior to this, it was always done in relation to a municipal comprehensive review, which was done periodically. I can't remember the time frame, but it was done periodically. So now it can be done, or a request can be made at any time.
Okay, thank you.
No, Councillor Young.
Yeah, just further to Councillor Bard's comment regarding protection of farmland, I'll just add the moraine as well, the expansion of settlement area down there, and what effect that's going to have on the natural environment, including the waterways in Oro-Medonte.
Oh, thank you. No, I think this is part of it. It's a wait and see what happens when the shoe finally falls on Bill 185. As we've seen multiple times that they've walked some stuff back, but then there are some things that have been walked back that are in this bill that I don't think they'll walk back the second time. But there'll be a lot of reading and a lot of learning for the planning department to understand exactly what's all been affected. But we just finished our official plan that was certified by county, and there was no expansion to any of the settlement areas within the OP. Not to say things may not change down the road, but I think, and I appreciate everyone identifying, we are an agricultural community or municipality, and it's important that we do protect the farmland, because once you build on it, you're not going to grow on it again in our lifetime. So, we will do our best to have responsible and balanced approach to development while maintaining the agricultural lands we have. Councillor Hutchison.
Great, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you to George. And just to expand on that question that came from Councillor Bard, we do have settlement areas now that have potential for further growth on them. Thinking specifically in Ward 1. And I've had some question as to the fact that we have met our housing target, or we're close to meeting our housing target. Does that then allow the township to forbid any further development in a settlement area? And my understanding is that no, that's not the case, that the target is the target, but it's not a hard stop. And if you could just clarify on that, and then I have a question with regard to some of your analysis.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, yes, that's correct, that the target is the target, and municipalities have been permitted to exceed the target going through planning approval processes for new developments.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, George. Then in looking at the analysis, I have a question with regard to the highlight number 1, removing barriers for additional residential units. The proposed changes allow as of right use for up to 3 units per lot in existing residential areas province-wide on any parcel of land where residential uses with full municipal water and sewage services. So again, I'm getting some questions from residents as to whether that is applicable to any of the settlement areas here in Oro-Medonte.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship, Councillor Hutchinson did contact me earlier and asked me about this, and I had the opportunity to look into it with a little more clarity. And the situation in Oro-Medonte is we have a number of hybrid systems. We have municipal water and we have private wastewater in our settlement areas, and the legislation makes reference to municipal services. And in consultation with our legal advisors, the person who was the lead author in the report that I included from Airden Bairless indicated that this is a little bit of a gray area in terms of the authority to allow up to 3 additional units in a residential unit if you're on full municipal services. So we're looking into that at this particular time. Certainly in the rural area, there are restrictions with respect to private systems and adding additional units, although under the the new or proposed provincial planning statement, there is the ability to add additional units, but again, it's constrained by the availability of services.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vanderbunken. Is there any other questions at this time? So back to Councillor Clark's initial statement, and I think the province's initial focus was for intensification within urban centers. So they were trying to promote vertical growth in order to get the number, and I think it's a challenge and a concern, and that's why they're looking for other ways that they're going to be able to get the number to become a realistic objective. So, you know, if we can do our part, and I know we've been in discussions with both of our urban neighbors about options of, rather than getting into boundary adjustments and annexation, that we could provide housing towards the province's objective. So at the end of the day, we're all in this together. You know, these are things that the province are looking for a solution because we have a housing issue. So, you know, collaboratively all together, hopefully we get there. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, then, Madam Clerk, I guess we'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. May we have a motion for item 11D, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Young, be it resolved that DS 2024-66 George Vadabunkur, Manager Planning Special Projects, City of Barrie, proposed boundary expansion, update on request for provincial land and development facilitator mediation be received and adopted. That Council authorize the Mayor and the CAO or Deputy Mayor as alternate to the Mayor to meet with the provincial land and development facilitator once the individual is appointed to discuss the City of Barrie's request to expand its municipal boundary into Oro-Medonte in accordance with and consistent with direction provided by Council for Oro-Medonte through motion number C-2402-1410, and that Council support the County of Simcoe participating in the facilitation process.
Perfect. Any questions or comments in regard to this matter? Definitely a very important thing, and I think at the end of the day, we're just going to reiterate that our objective as a municipality is to help facilitate the province in obtaining their mandate and objectives, and we'll work well with all of our municipal partners in order to help them achieve those objectives. Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Seeing none, that is carried. And now we'll go to item 12, reports of municipal officers. There are none this meeting. Reports of members of council. Are there any updates for members of council as town representatives with our partners or agencies? Yes, Councillor Hutchison. I just was trying to finish my sentence. I know you feel like we're on Jeopardy again.
I'm a little card happy today. A couple of announcements with regards to the SSEA. This last week, I took part in a presentation, thank you, on invasive species seminar, which is available on YouTube under the SSEA. It was a fulsome review of invasive plant and animals and insect species which cause a threat to our native species, how to detect and mitigate these, as Ontario has more invasive species than any other province in Canada, and the economic impact, which I thought is really interesting, is $3.6 billion in Ontario to help manage these invasive species. So it was really very interesting and well presented by SSEA. And secondly, the SSEA staff board will be partaking in a seedling planting on Friday, May 17th. We take part in this planting seedlings on private properties every year to assist owners in reforesting their land. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other updates from members of council? Deputy Mayor Lavoie.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a quick moment to highlight that the County of Simcoe is sponsor of the Barrie Air Show this summer, June 15th and June 16th. It's going to be quite a spectacular event. And of course, they'll be using the airport here on Line 7 to take the planes off from. So we're looking forward to some very exciting air shows over the Kemp and Phil Bay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any other updates at this time? Seeing none, then we will go on to announcements. Is there any announcements by members of council? Councillor Bard.
Just thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you, just to recap the presentation from the Oro-Medonte Chamber of Commerce and Tourism that we're having the business awards on May the 23rd. So tickets can be purchased through the website.
Thank you very much. Any other announcements from members of council? Oh, Councillor Hutchison.
Card happy again. Just wanted to say, for anybody who likes a good deal, both the Sugar Bush community and the Horseshoe Valley communities are holding community yard sales on May the 25th, Saturday morning from 8 till 12. So take your empty trailer and go get some good deals.
Thank you. If there's no one else, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Councillor Bard, would you like to provide comments on item 15H?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. I think, sorry, I wasn't super prepared for this. 127. I think we can all recognize the challenges that people are having making ends meet, and so going through some of the requests from other municipalities, reached out to the Simcoe County District Health Unit to get some numbers that are more specific to Oro-Medonte, Simcoe County, Barrie. Many of the people that would be, they work, it's not a lot of apartments and renting happening in Oro-Medonte. There is some, so there would be people that would be needing to work in Aurelia to make this, sorry, I'm kind of stumbling. All right, I'm going to start over. Looking at the minimum wage compared to the livable wage. Livable wage for Simcoe County is at $22.75 an hour, and that was updated in the fall of 2023. And we know that the minimum wage is significantly less than that, accounting for about $13,000 per year lower in annual income. And a number of our communities are struggling, paying over 2/3 of their wages to just meet rent and nutritious food. That doesn't include utilities or transportation costs. And what I'm asking is that, looking at the number of people, that we have an increase in our food bank use, both in Aurelia and Barrie, and that asking support to ask our different levels of government to implement more of a living wage as opposed to a minimum wage, because our minimum wage is not keeping up with costs. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Is there any other items anyone wants to speak to at this time on the consent agenda? If not, I'd like to highlight 15G regarding Emergency Preparedness Week, which is this week, May 5th to 11th. This significant week is a nationwide initiative supported by Public Safety Canada and various partners, emphasizing the importance of readiness in the face of potential emergencies. This year's theme is Plan for Every Season, encourages each of us to understand the specific risks in our region and take proactive steps to safeguard ourselves and our loved ones, urging all community members to participate in educational activities, develop emergency plans, and assemble emergency kits. Together, we can build a resilient community capable of facing emergencies with confidence and preparedness. Oro-Medonte Fire and Emergency Service will be out at our elementary schools during this week, speaking with grade 5 students delivering the county's STEP program. There is also a display set up here at the Township Admin Building, as well as a booth outside the ESSA station on line 7. Does any member wish to comment on any of the other items or at this time? Councillor Young?
Thank you, Mayor. Item D regards to Township Oro-Medonte resolution to the provincial changes, I guess, forthcoming to the Municipal Elections Act. I read it, and there is some wording that alludes to I'm just reading a couple excerpts here. Difficulties for voters can pose and continuous improvement, but it doesn't speak specifically to those, or at least accommodating those with disabilities. And I think something as important as this, the legislation should be very specific in terms of accommodating those with disabilities in the Municipal Act. And any legislation I've ever read as important as this doesn't make specific reference to accommodating those with disabilities. And my part, or my view at this point in time, it's an omission.
Okay, no, thank you very much, and I concur. Are there any other items you want to speak to? If not, Madam Clerk, we have a motion to receive all items on the agenda, please.
Moved by Shell, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that the staff recommendations with respect to the items listed under consent agenda correspondence be adopted as printed.
Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried, Madam Clerk. This brings us to item 16. May we have a motion for 16A, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Young, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that the report dated May 3rd, 2024 from John Heward, Heward O'Dwyer, Integrity Commissioner, IC, written report 2023 summary report be received for information only.
Any comments, questions on this? Councillor Schell?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw, through you to Madam Clerk. I read through the report and I see the IC report refers to 2 complaints that were investigated and 9 inquiries seeking advice from members of council. However, there is no mention of complaints that were sent to his office that did not result in a report and were dismissed. So during the April 24th meeting under 16C, communication petitions reported on a complaint that he dismissed for reasons that he was unable to contact the complainant. Is it possible, it is important that the public be made aware of the number of complaints that were received and were dismissed by the Integrity Commissioner, and this needs to be added to the report. So there's also a need for clarity relating to confidentiality in regarding to complaints that were received and dismissed. So those submitting complaints of alleged violation to the Code of Conduct are required to submit a signed affidavit of confidentiality sworn before a commissioner for taking affidavits stating any information arising out of the investigation process that is not included in the final investigation report will continue to be held in confidence by you. In his report, the IC states that only information included in a report can be made public. There is no mention of confidential requirements for those complaints that are received by the IC that do not receive a report. So in fact, those submitting a complaint that does not result in a report being issued by the IC are not released from the confidentiality agreement, it means their rights to pursue action through means other than the IC have been lost. So the public needs to be made aware that whether this is or is not before submitting a complaint and formally notified or being released from the sworn confidentiality agreement should the IC not submit a report. So I would like to put a motion forward, if I can find a seconder, that the Integrity Commissioner update his report to include the number of complaints received and dismissed. Also, that formal notification be provided to those whose complaints were dismissed and those who complained are no longer bound by confidentiality.
Okay, so just to help me have some clarity, Councillor Schell, you're asking that people who file a complaint to the IC and there's no report out from the IC to council because of whatever reason, whether it's there is no foul committed or they're that they are no longer bound, they should no longer be bound by confidentiality.
Yes.
Well, that would be something that would have to be questioned to the IC. But, you know, if you know, I guess the thing is, at what point would the IC be able to against a council member, be able to say, well, I would like to know, or one of my colleagues would like to know who the complaint was from. So as long as the IC is keeping their complaint in confidence, they are bound to confidence. They're not allowed to ever come forward, I believe. Madam Clerk, could you provide clarity if possible, or clarification, please? Confirm.
I had a question.
Okay, sorry.
That may help. Sorry. Okay, so my question is this. I think perhaps, Councillor Schell, there's some misunderstanding of what the affidavit covers. I don't believe it's confidentiality. I believe it's you're swearing to the accuracy of the information that is being sent to the IC, and it's not something that's binding in such a way that if your complaint did not create a report from the IC, it's not binding you to not being able to do anything else about it, if that's what you're getting at. And perhaps the clerk could just clarify that for me.
That's correct. The affidavit is just a sworn affidavit that the information that you're presenting to the Integrity Commissioner is indeed the truth to your knowledge. With respect to the confidentiality, there is a confidentiality statement that is required to be signed through the IC process. And I would, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Schell, I would have to follow up with the IC to determine confidentiality beyond he's not reporting out on something. So.
Yes, thank you. That because the way it's worded, any information arising out of the investigation process that is not included in the final investigation report will continue to be held in confidence by you being the complainant. So it means you can't take it any further.
Well, you can't take it, you can't go public with it. I think what they're saying is if you want to take it to a higher court, that would be up to the discretion of the complainer. But I think the confidentiality thing is simply if you complain to the IC, that's to be kept in it's not to be then marketed out on social media.
Right, well, I think Madam Clerk, she's probably going to check into that, but may I find a seconder for my motion?
But I don't think, I think you don't need a motion. I don't think, I think all you're doing is asking the clerk to find out clarity as any council member could reach out to the IC directly themselves and say, if you don't report out on a complaint, whoever's launched a complaint in the past, they could phone the IC directly and say, could you please, am I still bound by confidentiality because you have not reported out on my complaint? I think would be the position that the complainer should take.
May I read my motion again, please? I'm asking that the Integrity Commissioner update his report that he's just given us to include the number of complaints received and dismissed. And also confirm that formal notification be provided to those whose complaints were dismissed. So if they've dismissed a complaint, how do they know? Are they being formally, because we're not being formally told.
I would imagine the complainer would be informed that there is no foul or that the issue has been dropped or that the report is coming forward. That's how I would take it. Councillor Hutchinson and then Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Perhaps it's, again, respectfully, Councillor Schell, perhaps we ask the clerk the question if she's aware if there have been complaints registered and not reported out on by the IC before we ask that question. We may already have the answer, I don't know. So I don't mind putting that question towards the clerk.
Sure, that's fine. I'm just reading from his report because I have a copy of his report here and it doesn't state in his report.
Understood. So I think it's worth asking the question. Thank you.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Schell. I did have some clarification follow-up after the first report that was sent, and this was the revised version that came back. So I have confirmed with the Integrity Commissioner that there is nothing more for him to report out for 2023, and he advised that that was the case. So whether or not there are complaints that people have think are out there, that is not the indication that I received from the IC.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Young?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Is there any legislative requirement for the IC to do so? That's what it comes back to. He's reported what, in his view, is necessary. But again, I come back, is there any legislative requirement for him to do so, as has been requested by gentleman across from me?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I will have to go back and refer to legislation. I think there is maybe not a requirement for an annual report, but we certainly have a requirement with our Integrity Commissioner for an annual report. So yeah, it may not be legislated, but it's part of our agreement.
I think one of the things that Councillor Schell is looking for is, of the reports that were reported out, how many complaints were submitted, that there may have been initial questions or inquiries and they found that there is not a conflict or an MCI infraction. So I think that's kind of what he's wondering is how do we understand how many complaints have come in, and then that would give us more clarity as to how many have actually been reported out on. So I think that's kind of what Councillor Schell's looking for. And Deputy Mayor Lebois?
Yeah, I think the question, if we could phrase it, is are there complaints which were deemed not to have sufficient merit to go forward and be reported on? And I would second such a motion to find out the answer to that question. If that's necessary, if it's possible that we just ask the Integrity Commissioner that, and that the Integrity Commissioner report back by way of a letter, that would be perfect. And if we can, I think we should be able to have the confidence in the Integrity Commissioner that they would do so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Staff will take that as direction, and I will confirm with him with respect to my previous conversations with him, that, you know, there was X number of complaints, there was X number of report outs, so I will reiterate that again to the commissioner, find out, and report back.
And I think it's important that the public understand that if the report comes back and says there's been, let's pick a number, 3 report outs, and there's been 25 complaints, there's a cost to all those complaints to the township. And if that is the case, that something like that, a number like that comes back, then I would suggest that another step be put within the process, that the complainer needs to reach out to the complainant to try to resolve and better understand what the complaint's about, because sometimes the complaints are frivolous and hold no substance when they could be exchanged and actually the member of the public or whoever complains about the issue, and they can explain, because sometimes the complaints are filed under not understanding the duties and the roles of council and what we can and can't do, or what is appropriate and what is not. So, but we'll wait till the report comes back before we get that far down the pipe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, there is no legislation that requires the parties to come together and collaborate. However, we would always encourage that.
Yeah.
But there is no legislation, and I don't think we are able to enforce that or
We'll
implement that.
We'll wait until Bill 185 comes down. Maybe there's something in there. So, Councillor Schell.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Through you to our clerk, then, can we defer accepting this report until we're confirmed that it's complete? Like, so
Well,
I would suggest we defer it tonight.
Well, I think we can. We're accepting, but we're asking for more detail in that report. We're asking for it to be modified or updated with more information. Is what we're asking. We've accepted what he's sent us so far, but the clerk's going to reach out and said we actually require more information and more detail in your report, please.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that is correct. It would be a revised report that would come forward, but today we're receiving what we have to date.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, got it, thanks.
Perfect, thank you. So I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. There's no notice of motions. May we have a motion for the draft bylaw under item 18, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Schell, seconded by Lavoie. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2024-038 and 2024-051 be read a first, second, and third time, passed, be engrossed by the clerk, signed and sealed by the mayor.
Any comments or questions regarding the bylaws? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. There's no more closed session items to cover off. Confirmation bylaw, may we have that, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Clark, seconded by Bard. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2024-052, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council meeting held on Wednesday, May 8th, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, be engrossed by the clerk, signed and sealed by the mayor.
All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And may we have a motion to adjourn, Madam Clerk?
Moved by Hutchison, seconded by Clark. Be it resolved that we do now adjourn at 5:57 p.m.
All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much, and everybody from watching from home, have a great weekend and a great evening, and hopefully the Canadian hockey teams will continue to win.